Alrighty, let's get into this. Um, I don't really know what to say to start this off. Um, I don't really care much about what's just happened. I don't really feel, um, and I'm not mad. It's the stereotypical thing of, and it's a stereotypical like parent thing of like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. And like, I'm not angry, I'm just upset. Like, it's genuinely just such a I don't know, man. It's just depressing, isn't it? I'm kind of like already over it, and I've got my points. We'll go through the points. Let me do my checks real quick. Let's just pause this, and then we get the chat up. Let me pop that out. Where are we at? There we go. Okay. No, the thing is, like, I'm not even angry. I said, like, I'm not. It's one of those things because it's just like it's one of those games where the defining factor of this game happens so early on that we kind of know what the narrative is going to be for the rest of the game, and that's just kind of what ends up happening. And it's like, to be honest, I genuinely, I'm going to be talking mainly about the first half today, because I pretty much just completely checked out in the second half, and you can probably tell from my demeanor. I don't really recall anything actually happening in the second half because it was just much of the same of the last 20 to 25 minutes of the first half, and it was kind of not really worth my time. And you know what? Something that's really, really funny about this game. Um, Obviously, this is a game in Ipswich. I obviously live in the east of England. This was the one game of the season that I was supposed to actually go and watch at the actual stadium. I'd booked this as like, oh cool, I'll go this time, but then things got in the way and I didn't end up going today. And to be honest, I think it's a bloody good thing that I didn't go. I think it's a bloody good thing that I didn't go because this game was just depressing. As I said, I'll go on to the points because I actually have 8 points. I'm cheating a little bit. I usually have 7. I've got my 7 points, but then I've got a kind of additional point I want to talk about. I'm not going to be doing a tactical breakdown on this game, unfortunately, because quite frankly, I don't think it deserves my time. I don't want to get myself down by having to rewatch this match. Instead, we're going to kind of do a end of year wrap up type of video coming soon, as it's the new year. It's not 7 bads, but I will tell you now, there is not a single good. Let's switch into this screen real quick. Okay, and I think what I want to do is I want to get the main point out of the way first, which the only thing in this game that genuinely kind of actually annoyed me in terms of actually making me angry, because as you can probably tell, I'm quite okay. I'm going to talk about I'm going to put in the referees, but not specifically the referees. It's more so VAR, and more so the it's a mixture of VAR being absolutely terrible today, for 2 major decisions, and that just kind of that's just what it is. We've kind of come to expect at this point. But also just the fact that the referee for the game and the linos were just getting conned by the crowd all the game. Like, all game they were getting conned by the crowd. And it's just not good enough. The only reason I want to bring this up is because I want to get this out of the way first, so it doesn't sound like I'm making excuses for our team, because our team was not good enough today. But this is genuinely the most egregious penalty decision I think I've ever seen. There is absolutely no contact. He runs about 2 meters past the challenge before falling over. He's never going to get to the ball in the first place. This is never a penalty. The fact that this is looked at for about 30 seconds, not even that, about 20 seconds. They look at it once, they look at the replay once, they don't advise the referee to go to the monitor, which they should always do for penalty decisions, in my opinion. They don't advise them to go over to the monitor. If they actually look at this for more than 20 seconds, they see that there's absolutely no contact and that Delap has dived. This is a blatant dive, and it starts our game off absolutely terribly, because this is the thing, footballers are very momentum-based sport. It's a game where if you do not start well, or your opponent starts better than you, you will just lose. And just regardless of the quality of the opposition, regardless of the quality of your team, if you get put 1-0 down at the start of the game, you are at a disadvantage. And it's one of those things where, like, yes, we should have the quality to get back into this game. But Ipswich are a team that's very, very crowd motivated. They're a team that are very, very energetic, very, very industrious, and they're a team that gets spurred on by things going their way, right? Every single challenge that goes their way, every block that goes their way, every aerial duel that goes their way, it makes them better. And this kick-started them so far ahead of us that we never caught up. And that's just... The reason why it bugs me the most is not because, again, the incompetence of the referees is something we talk about quite a lot. It's the fact that they look at for about 20 seconds. But the really blatantly offside goal that Joao Felix scores, it takes them about 5 minutes to figure it out. When it's clear without even using the lines, without even using VAR. It's clear just looking at it from a replay that he's majorly offside. They take about 5 minutes to look at that one. Why? I don't get it. I really don't. And why we still don't have semi-automatic offside in the league is another thing which is annoying, because, again, this would just clear this up real quickly, and then they could use the time to actually look at the decisions that they get wrong, rather than having to waste 6 minutes of a game, each game, drawing fucking lines that don't matter. Very, very annoying. But as I said, I'm not going to make too many excuses, because just at the end of the day, we just were not good enough today. We didn't deserve to beat Ipswich. They deserved to win this. They were winning absolutely every duel. And I think we talk about the first goal there with the penalty. Very good penalty from Delap 2, bottom corner, can't be saved. The second one is I'm going to be putting in DSRC, and you guys know that for the longest time I've been a big DSRC defender, because I don't think he's as bad as our fan base makes him out to be. I really don't. I don't think he's that bad. I think that he is a victim of things not being in his favour, in the terms of he is a very, very good central centre-back. Him being pushed out to right-back all these times is just utterly, utterly stupid. Genuinely baffling. He can't play there. He hasn't got the pace to play there. He is best when he is able to pass from the centre. And every single time we see him played out of position, he makes these types of mistakes. We see him make a mistake. I think like Tosin can kind of take a bit of responsibility for not switching on quick enough as well, but the main mistake is from DSRC. And in general, I don't think he was very good today. And again, it frustrates me, because I'm actually going to put in another player here as well. I'm going to put in Nkunku, if my thing would stop lagging. I'm going to be putting in Nkunku as well. And it's for similar reasons, right? And like, it's really frustrating to me, because I know from watching these two, from doing my research on these two before we signed them, there is players in here, but they're just not being used in the right way. I don't get why DSRC is being played as a right back. I do not get why Nkunku is being played as a 9. It's genuinely baffling to me why these two are being played out of position, why half of our team are being played out of position. And to be honest, I don't want to single out specific players for system issues, and I'll talk about Maresca in a bit, because spoiler alert, he's going in here too. It's just really frustrating to see these players that, especially in Nkunku, it really bugs me with Nkunku, because this is an opportunity, right? We're up against one of the worst teams in the league. Statistically, they are one of the worst teams in the league. This is his opportunity to get a start from the beginning, and Maresca has obviously rotated players for some reason. He has rotated players to give people a chance to impress. And then you see Nkunku up top, and you see him just jogging around, not putting in any effort to close down the ball, not ever putting in any effort to drop deep and facilitate play, and just kind of being lost and making it a 10v11 for the whole game until he gets taken off. And again, part of that is not on him. Part of that is because he is being played out of position. And I think that if he was played as a 10 or a second striker, I feel like he'd do much better. That being said, if you aren't playing there, you still have to give your best. You still have to try. He just looks so lazy. And it's bizarre, because we didn't see this when he played for Leipzig. He looked like a very energetic player at Leipzig. He looked like a player that wanted to get involved all the time. He has never, ever looked like that, unless he's playing in the Conference League against farmers and dentists. And it's just, when you have a player like this that has so much quality on the ball, and we know how good he is in the box and how good he is at ball striking and things like that, and his technique is he's a very, very good technical player. To see him like being misused like this really frustrates me, and I'm going to put Maresca in there because this is the third. I won't say third, second maybe. I would say I'd give it the last two games. This is the second game in a row where Maresca has royally fucked this up, not just from the way that we start the game, but the way his substitutions come out, the time of those substitutions, and just the baffling decision to play players that clearly aren't good enough in the team. We have multiple right backs on the bench today, and we play a very slow centre back as our right back today in DCC. And I know I get it. I get this, right? And I'm gonna make some excuses for Maresca here in one way, because I get he's not gonna be playing James because he's just come back from injury. We don't want to exacerbate the problem with James. We know how injury prone he is. He's not gonna play a youth player in Joshua Chempong, who's only recently just signed a contract. And Gusto has been utterly awful every single time he's been on the pitch this season. So I don't blame him for trying this, right? But it's just, you've got to kind of persevere in those moments and kind of say, hey, even though Gusto has been terrible, I would have rather have seen him start today. Even though Joshua Chempong is a youth player, I would have rather have seen him play today. And, against a weaker side, when you're trying to give people opportunities, what better way to give a youth player an opportunity than to play him in a game that is, for the most part, against a very weakened side. I think he would have done way better. I don't think he would have made the same mistake that DCC made. We get to see, obviously, Joao Felix and Nkunku play today, who usually don't play, and it just feels weird that we're seeing that. Like, why are we not playing two wingers? We're playing a formation that thrives on 1v1 duels out wide, and we don't have two wingers on the pitch until about the 75th minute. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And I think genuinely, and I said this last stream with the Nkunku thing, I really think Maresca is trying to make a statement to the board and say, hey, look at these terrible players that we have. Please get rid of them. We have a window coming up. Please get rid of them. We need better players. And after this game, I genuinely, and I said this on Twitter, I will be absolutely flabbergasted after the scouting that we've done if we do not put in a bid for Liam Delap today. Like, as soon as the window opens, I want that bid on the table at Ipswich's door, because he was phenomenal today, and we've obviously scouted him, and he's the type of profile that is going to win us games like this, where he's a bustling centre forward that just makes things happen just by his presence, and a player that can impact things in the box. When we are playing with Nkunku as our striker, and we don't play two wingers, so we don't have any way of kind of navigating the ball to the edge of the box and getting shots off that way, and kind of cutting inside and getting shots that way, and it just forces us to do crosses. Why are we crossing to no one? Who are you going to cross the ball to if you've got Nkunku in the centre? I don't get it. Why did Jackson not start? Why did Mark Guiu not start? This is a game that would have been absolutely excellent for Mark Guiu to kind of cement himself as, he could be a bench striker for us now. And obviously, you always try and have three strikers in your team. You have your starter striker, which for us, for our case, is Jackson. You have the player that is a different profile to your starting striker that can come off the bench and impact things, a la Olivier Giroud, that type of striker, which could be Guiu if we want to play him, but he doesn't play. And then you have a third striker that can come on in those rotational games. Why we are playing Nkunku as a striker and not Guiu is just mind-boggling to me. And I think we will be in for another striker. I think that's one of our kind of areas we've been trying to get, obviously, with bids for Duran and Samu. I would love to see Samu come in. Personally, I don't think he would be sold, though, considering his form. Same thing with Duran. I don't think he would be sold. He'd be a great player off the bench. He always scores off the bench. It's just one of those things where it frustrates me, because it feels like Maresca is trying to make a statement, and because these performances in the last three games have been so below what we've been doing all season. Even in the games where we've lost this season or have drawn this season, we've still looked good, right? We've still gone away from a majority of those games feeling unlucky and feeling like we didn't deserve to lose or draw those games, whereas the last three games it has felt like we have not deserved absolutely anything. And it's just, it hurts me to say that our team has not been good enough today against Ipswich. We really should be beating Ipswich. If we want to be a top 4 team, we want to be a serious team that's going to be winning trophies and getting into the Champions League, we have to be winning these games. We can't be losing these games. We've got a really big game now against Palace, and this is genuinely a cup final. Our next game is against Palace, and it's a cup final because of the situation we put ourselves in with these 3 bad performances in a row. And the blame has to go to Maresca because he just hasn't been setting up the team well enough. His substitutes haven't been good enough, and in general, it seems like our team's ran out of ideas at this point. I will look at some of the sorry, I'll look at some of the chat. I've been going on a bit of a being a thing. Yeah, genuinely, I think Delap is like. So I think this was a game where you know where it seems to happen, right, where when players get linked to a club and then they play that club before the window, it always feels like they have that like extra bit of motivation, or that kind of extra bit of kind of, hey, look at me, this is my audition for your team. And that's what Liam Delap did today. It felt like, hey, you want me in January? This is what I can do. Pay the money for me. And it really, really felt like that today, because he was best player on the pitch by far. Genuinely the best player on the pitch. Shout out to Hutchinson too. Glad that he is thriving away, obviously, after we sold him from our youth academy. Not sure about the celebration, but there we go. Doesn't seem like a very loyal player in general, considering he came to us from Arsenal, so not going to put him I'm not going to put him down for that. But yeah, just again, this is a kind of depressing thing. I'm going to talk about some players that I do think played, I'm not going to say well, because we lost, but played adequately and were trying things at least. The first one is going to be for Palmer. I think that he was absolutely robbed of a couple of assists today. I think he was really trying to make things happen, and you could see at the end of the game how frustrated he was, because it felt like, to me, it felt like everyone else's performance really dragged him down, and he was just kind of like, oh, what's the point? Like, what's the point in him trying to make things happen, and like play these intricate passes and get into good positions if the rest of the team is just going to let him down? I think that he was one of our better players today, despite not actually getting any goal contributions, which is unfortunate for him. I think he actually had a pretty good game considering the low block that we kind of came under, and we've seen that he's struggled against those types of setups in recent times. So good to see him kind of get back on the horse after a performance against the last team, which I rightly called him out for and said that he wasn't good enough. He was good enough today, he just was a bit unlucky. Likewise, I'm going to give another medium for Tosin. I think that he, for the most part, was quite good today. Just one of those things where, again, it's just those small moments where we get like Disasi giving him a hospital pass and he can't recover it, and then he gets beaten by Delap, and it's just like, oh, it's just so frustrating, because he did for the most part actually do pretty well in the first half. And again, I'm mainly basing this on the first half because I kind of checked out for the second half. I really wasn't watching the game that much, and I think we can kind of finish this off with the last player. Who, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is just from my first initial reaction. Do you guys think that, because I generally think that this guy could have been man of the match today if it was going to a Chelsea player, and that's for Enzo. I didn't call him out last game specifically, even though he had a really good game. I think he had a very similar performance today, where he was the player that was kind of trying, again, like Palmer, he was trying to make things happen, and the rest of the team was just really not helping him. Shout out to Caicedo too. Again, I said this last time, Caicedo just gives us a 7 or 8 out of 10 every single game, so it's not like it's not like a standout thing to me that he played well, because he always plays well. I think Caicedo was good. I think Enzo really tried again to try and do things, and especially in this kind of weirder position that he was playing, because we don't have Cucurella there, so he's not playing as high up, and we playing one winger for some reason, and he didn't have a target man to play balls into in behind, because for some reason Jackson wasn't playing. Just, oh, so frustrating. I think he's really back to his best form. I think I think we can say that he's really back to his best form. We just need to, it's one of those things where at some point, and I hope it's next game against Palace, we're going to get put this kind of small patch of bad form behind us, and we're going to get back on the horse. And this is part of the reason why I'm not mad today, and it's why I kind of want to encourage you guys as well to not be annoyed and not to throw the toys out of the pram, because this is just a small patch of bad form. I don't think it's going to continue for very long. I think we will kind of recuperate after this. I think it's just one of those things where Chelsea are never good in December. We always ruin the Christmas period. I don't know what it is. We just always seem to ruin the Christmas period. It's like the Christmas period up until my birthday, which is in January, is like always really bad for us. But yeah, again, yeah, like Crimson just said that, especially considering Enzo and Caicedo are absolutely knackered. And again, I put a lot of blame on Maresca today, because of the way he set the team up. I do have to mention the injuries have been a bit of an issue for him. Obviously, we don't have Lavia, who would 100% be playing every single game. Obviously, we don't have Mudryk in the team because of suspension. We don't have Fofana, who would probably be playing instead of Disasi, and he wouldn't have made that mistake if Fofana was in the team. We don't have Badia Shield, who again would have probably played instead of one of those two if next to Colwill if he wasn't injured. Kind of frustrating in that regard. Obviously, we don't have James. That's a moot point. We haven't had him the whole season, but just it's just kind of, again, I don't want to get too, it's just depressing. Like, I'm not mad. I'm just kind of sad. It's really, I just feel like, we kind of need, again, we need the kind of reset. And I think Palace is a team where they're another team which can kind of catch us out and be a bogey team, but they're also a team that, if we are to make a statement win and get back on the horse, Palace are the team to do it against, because they are a team that sometimes likes to give you goals, and they are a team that sometimes likes to be a little bit less potent in attack, especially after they've kind of lost Elise. Yeah, this is one of those things where we could be looking at this by the end of the season and be like, hey, man, if we just won that game at Ipswich, or man, if we had just won that game at Everton, that it feels like those types of games where we kind of had that last season with Brentford and Sheffield, and we were like, oh my goodness, if we just won those games, we would have been in a much better position. But that's football. The last thing which I'm going to be talking about is, and I'm not going to be doing a true blue today because no one's gotten in the good box. I don't think anyone deserved it. I think the fans deserve it. I think, do I have anything that could be for the fans? I haven't really got like an emoji for it. Let's do this. This is us, because we're all yelling at each other. I think we deserve the true blue today because we're the ones that actually kind of turned up. The players didn't. But the one thing which I'm going to talk about now, and the final thing, is just I feel like today was another performance, and I spoke about this a little bit. In the last game. Today was a game where we just did not have the heart, and we did not have the desire to win this game. And in a team where we've looked so motivated, and we've looked so rejuvenated under the new manager, and we've looked so intense and so willing to kind of stop our opponents from being able to play the game, especially with players like Cucurella and Caicedo, Palmer, obviously Jackson. Guiu we've seen be really heavy press. Wesley Fofana, who unfortunately is injured today. None of that was there today. And it felt like, to me, Ipswich kind of knew that we had our spirit broken in a way, and they came to this game today and they said, you know what? We don't care if you're sad. We're going to make your day even worse. And credit to Ipswich, because they did play really, really well. Again, I don't have any qualms to the way they played. I think they played really, really well. They played very, very smart against a team like us that does like to keep possession. They kind of limited the amount of chances we were able to have. They blocked all the chances that we did create, and their goalkeeper, who they subbed in today, or they subbed in, I think he subbed in for the last game, but also today, very, very good today as well. But yeah, they completely outmatched us in terms of winning their duels, winning their aerial battles, being physical, being energetic. They just completely outplayed us the whole game, and yeah, there's nothing more that I can really say. I feel like we didn't have the heart to win this game. Have you heard the news about Anselmino? I have, and I tweeted about this. I said that considering how bad Disasi was in this game, and obviously we're looking to loan him out to Strasbourg, we can only have, I believe, 3 loanees to one club. So the way that I see it is that we're either sending him to Strasbourg and we're recalling a player from Strasbourg, or he might be staying and we might be selling a centre-back. Because obviously there's been rumours about us selling Badia Shield to AC Milan. There's been rumours about Disasi, obviously with these types of performances, possibly leaving. Personally, I would, I think it's, if it was me, and I don't want to disrupt his season because he's been playing so well, I think it's a very obvious thing we can do here is that to send Anselmino out on loan to Strasbourg and then bring back Andre Santos. I think he has to come back, genuinely, considering we don't have Lavia, and we've been having these midfield issues, and our midfielders being looking a bit tired today, with Fernandez and Caicedo looking a bit leggy. Santos is the perfect player to come back, genuinely. He has to come back. Either that or Petro, but I think Petrovic is kind of doing well enough to kind of stay there, and again, don't really want to disrupt his season. Whereas Santos is a bit used to kind of having his season disrupted halfway through because he's had terrible, terrible loans, but he's been excellent out in France for the last season or year or so now. Yeah, we might get into a bit of trouble by doing that, but yeah. Thank you guys for hanging out as ever. Again, sorry this was a bit of a more sad, depressing one, and we're not doing the poll today. Just again, it's just one of the games where I'm not mad. I'm just, as I said, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed, and we have to suck it up. We go again next year. New me. They do the whole new year, new me thing. Hopefully Chelsea can do that, and we can put on a fresh lick of paint against Palace, and we can get back on the horse. Yeah, as Archer's just said, keep the blue flag flying high. That's what we have to do in these situations. We always have to keep the chins up, as it were, and just keep supporting until the next game. But yeah, I'll see you guys. I said I'm gonna make a video for probably the first, kind of wrapping up the year, and kind of putting out my new ambitions for the next year, and kind of going over my old ambitions that I set for this year, and kind of reviewing what happened there. I've also, speaking of reviewing things, man, I looked back at my Premier League predictions earlier this year. They are all terrible. That reaction video is going to be so funny because they are all bad. Like, I don't think I've got a single one right, other than Southampton. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.